Hello my lovely friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing some tips on how to come up with story ideas. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. A lot of people ask me how I come up with story ideas, where I get my inspiration, and honestly it's a warranted question because it can be hard to come up with story ideas. I used to have a really hard time coming up with story ideas. I knew that I wanted to write a book, I wanted to write lots of books, but I didn't have any ideas, I didn't know where to get ideas, and nothing would come to me. I didn't know where to start. It's frustrating and I get it, I've been there, it sucks. So hopefully this will help you come up with some story ideas and get the ball rolling. These are all ways that I come up with ideas and things that I do and use to start writing something. Number one is, in my opinion, the most important, and that is just to pay attention to the world around you. There are story ideas everywhere, and I know that's cliche to say, but it really is true. Just pay attention, see just the little things, look at what you do in your daily life, where you're going, what's going on around you. I feel like ideas come to me all the time now when I start paying attention to things like that, whether I'm at school, at the store, just in my room. Daily events and experiences can really influence story ideas and things that you can come up with. Look at the weather, look at the news, look at current events in the world, in your community around you, what your friends are going through, what your family's going through. You can even just look at individual items that you own, in your room, around your house. I've done this before. Just look at things and have something come to you. Okay, I'm trying to see what's around me. Okay. I collect elephants. Here's an elephant. So you could write about an elephant, you could write about something just like this, about it's an heirloom, a family heirloom, something like that, a collector type thing. I have a lot of these elephants, so you could do a lot of elephants about someone collecting things. What if something gets stolen? What if it's a fancy thing that gets stolen? And then you could talk about spies or something like that. I don't know. Either way, things, you can get anything from absolutely anything. Here's a paperclip. When I do this, it kind of looks like an animal. What if there was a weird animal who kind of looked like this? What if I was a tiny person? What if I was a tiny person walking through this? What if I lived in a paperclip? You can do absolutely anything. Those are just random things that were on my desk. Ideas are all around you. Project Orion, my current novel, came from a dream I had. Obviously the whole plot wasn't in the dream, but it helped inspire two characters and the sort of tone and vibe and aesthetic that I wanted to have in the book. I also recently started a YA coming of age novel that revolves around the main character having to volunteer at a community garden, and she grows through the people she meets there, etc. And that came from my own experience volunteering at a community garden. The second piece of advice I have is to people watch. And I know this is a common one, it's very helpful, that's why. Just pay attention to the people around you, go to some public place and just sit there and observe people. It may feel weird, but it's a good way to get ideas, not just for a story, but also see how people interact. Take note of what they do, where they're going, what they're saying, and how they're talking to other people, any mannerisms or quirks they may have. It's also a good way to feel how a conversation flows and get good tips for dialogue. Number 3, absorb all the media that you can. Read books, watch movies, listen to music, read the newspaper. I don't know if people read the newspaper anymore actually, but you should. Fun fact, I used to write for a newspaper. Especially reading, watching, or listening to things that you wouldn't normally read, watch, or listen to. It could inspire you to come up with things you wouldn't think of. And even if you don't come up with a story idea, I find it's a good way, especially with music, to feel a vibe of a story, if that makes sense. Sometimes listening to something can help you set the stage for a scene or something like that. Also video games, that's a good one. I love video games, I play a lot of them, and they are a huge influence on 95% of the things that I write. Project Orion, my current novel, heavily influenced by BioShock Infinite, and it also has some influence from Dishonored. So trying things like that, doing things you wouldn't normally read, watch, or listen to. Also, just in general, reading is a good way to not only get ideas but enhance your skill level, if that makes sense. Like with writing, it can make you a better writer. I know you probably hear that all the time, but reading really does help with wanting to become a better writer. It really helps with that. Number 4, research interesting topics. Something I like to do is go on Wikipedia, and they have that like random article button, and I just go through tons of random articles and see what I find interesting, read up on things, and a lot of the times it really does help with coming up with ideas, especially around things that I wouldn't normally think of. If you see something in the news that interests you, do some research on it. You never know what you can find. History is a good way to get some idea of things that could happen again. Number 5, brain dump. I have talked about this a lot in previous videos, especially in my how to develop a story idea video, which I will link above and in the description below if you want to go check it out. It's also a good kind of like leeway, since this one is how to come up with story ideas, and that one is all about how to develop a story idea. Basically, what I like to do is do a brain dump. I get a blank piece of paper, write down everything that I can think of, and just get it all out there. Make a huge list of all these random things that you like. Concepts, themes, characters, lines of dialogue, settings, anything. And it's a good way to kind of narrow down your list, kind of refine what you're looking at, what you like, and develop something from that. Next is to write things down. Any idea that you have, write it down. You will forget it if you don't write it down. I've had that happen so many times. So what I'll do if I am in a place where I can't write something down physically on a piece of paper is I will go to my notes app on my phone. I have tons of notes of just random story ideas, bits of dialogue, stuff like that. And it's really handy to have, and you can use it later. Even if you don't look at it right away as soon as you get home, you can always come back to it and be like, wow, that's a cool idea, I'll do something with it. So I guess this isn't really a tip on how to come up with ideas, but just a good general rule of thumb: write things down, everything. Next is something that I do like to use, especially for like writing exercises, and that's writing prompts. There are tons of writing prompts, especially on like Pinterest or Tumblr, Instagram, basically on any social media. There are tons of writing prompts. There are whole accounts dedicated to writing prompts, and they're really helpful and they're really interesting, and so it's a good way to kind of get you to think. And even if you don't use an exact writing prompt, you can find some that can still like get your creative juices flowing. It's just a good way to get inspired and do some exercises and practice writing. Number 8 is to look at your influences, and by this I mean like some of your favorite authors, favorite books, favorite movies, etc. Just find a piece of media that you really enjoy and it captures your attention, and kind of examine it, pick through it and figure out what you like so much about it. So like, was it a character that you really liked? Was it a theme or a setting or a plot twist that they did, or some sort of writing device? Figure out what you really like, what captures your attention, and it's a good way to kind of narrow down how your own writing style will go. Not necessarily your writing style, but like the things that you like to write about. So those are all the tips that I have. I hope they help and get you to come up with some story ideas of your own. Again, I use a lot of these all the time when I'm coming up with ideas. I also want to mention that sometimes you may have an idea, but since you don't know where to go from there or what to do with it, you may think, oh, it's not a good idea. Anything can be a good idea as long as you just keep thinking and like keep trying to expand on it and keep developing it. Anything can be a good idea. Do not give up. You can be a great writer. And I know writer's block is hard if that's what you're going through, and I'm so sorry because it's very frustrating. But I do hope these help, and even if they don't, I know you'll get through it and you'll come up with wonderful ideas. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for stopping by. If you are new, feel free to subscribe if you would like. I do more writing and AuthorTube content. I love you all very, very much wherever you are, and no matter what you're going through, I hope you're having a great day, and I'm always here for you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.